All right, we are now at episode 4. So half of these episodes of the Inside the Cage series on BJPenn.com have now had a Hawaiian invasion. I am Mike Pendleton, and again, this is Inside the Cage on BJPenn.com. And my next guest is someone who has yet to feel any type of L's in his fighting career. And I'm not going to try and do it like as if I was from Hawaii, but instead of just going with the short route, I'm going to see. I think I got it. Puna Soriano, a.k.a. Puna Soriano. Did I do it right? Am I good?
I think it's close enough. At this point, it's whatever it lands on.
All right, so what is the correct way to say it? Because I suck at this.
Puna.
All right, I was close. Very close. Thank you so much for joining me. Story time, and I think we're going to get into that. With you. I think you probably have a lot of great things to say. I know you and Dan Ige go way back.
It's crazy.
Dan was my second guest on this new series for BJPenn.com. Let's start there. Like, what is it like having someone who's a very close friend, and you guys obviously two totally separate weight classes, but you go on this fight career journey together?
Yeah, it's really cool, man. I look at Dan as one of my best friends. We've grown up together. We went through high school, college, and now we're here. And it's cool because I also look at him not just as a friend, but I also look at him as sometimes as a rival. He was telling me he wanted to get on the same card as me, and he's going after a bonus. So in that case, he's going to be my rival. I want that bonus too. I don't know, man. I just love the guy.
That's amazing. Well, you burst onto the scene with the UFC after a performance at Dana White Contender Series, and I know they talked about on the broadcast at UFC 245. You wanted to finish. You didn't get it, but it was an incredible performance. And my goodness, did you show up at UFC 245. Take me back. Let's go back to Contender Series first. I love talking to people that have fought on Contender Series because I love to hear their mindset. So I ask you yours. You weren't just fighting Jamie Pickett. You're fighting against every other fighter on that card because it's about who stands out the most. Take me back to that night.
Oh man, good. First of all, good thing I didn't speak to you before that because that just made me super nervous. Yeah, man, it was pretty crazy. Even just starting from the weigh-ins, it kind of feels like the big stage, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't. And then you get to the arena or the Apex, and that's just completely empty. It's just got almost an eerie feeling to it. And then as you're in the back, you're kind of just waiting for everyone to go by. You don't really hear the oohs and the ahs because there aren't really any, It's too quiet, and it's just a weird feeling. And then to go in there and you can hear you and your opponent breathing hard. You hear anything that's happening, a pen fall, anything, it's real awkward.
Oh, I'm sure, and we'll get into what it's like fighting in a smaller crowd, if not almost what could feel like at times empty, because like you said, you could hear your opponent breathing in there. But you went from that to UFC 245, and I know you were early in the night, but you got the night started off with a bombshell, a first-round knockout. I just went back and watched it this morning. How much dynamite and viciousness are in those hands?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know, the potential it goes, because I'm still young in my career, but that's one thing. Ever since I was a kid, I was always kind of just man, I want to be able to just break stuff when I punch it. I want to just destroy things in cartoons and stuff,
Absolutely. Now you've had finishes in all but one of your fights in your professional career. Is that something you seek out each and every fight?
Yeah, I mean, I train for the fight to go the full distance. I expect it to go the full distance, but my mindset is to put it on the person until I finish them, And it's just a gold mine. I feel like it it comes with breaking someone, and I think breaking someone is kind of more important to me than finishing them.
What do you see? I love this. What do you mean by that? Because I think a lot of people could hear that and go, "Well, that almost seems like the same thing," but I know it's not. What is the difference for you in breaking someone and finishing them?
The difference between breaking someone and finishing them is, like anyone can get lucky. You can hit them with a good punch, lucky punch, whatever. You could submit them, but I want to go out there and just like make these guys rethink their career, make them think like, man, maybe this isn't the route. Maybe I shouldn't be fighting. I just want to take everything from them, because I feel like when I take it from them, it goes to me, and everything they've ever done, all their accomplishments, it's my accomplishments.
Okay, so I'm getting a sense of Thanos here. Like, are you out here trying to collect stones in the UFC?
Basically, yeah. Stones, belts, anything I can get my hands on.
That is amazing. We'll talk about the middleweight division here in a little bit, but I want to go back to kind of your origin, your basis, and you're from Hawaii. As we've seen in the past, a lot of fighters from Hawaii do transition over to Las Vegas, and also furthermore, the culture and just the story and consistency of fighters from Hawaii that burst onto the scene in the UFC. It's so deep. The lineage is so strong. What does it mean to you to be a fighter in the UFC from Hawaii, given the background?
It honestly, I don't know how other fighters from Hawaii feel about this, but I don't really think too much about it. I think that I just try to put in the work every day, and I kind of let things happen as they're gonna. I just want to make sure I can do everything I can. But like when it comes down to it, like when I really think about it, it kind of means a lot. Like, we're all warriors from Hawaii, but at the same time, when you grow up with it, you don't really think about it. It's just who you are. You're just in you.
See, and I feel like obviously you guys are part of the U.S., but I feel like it's only in the moments in which we see yourself, Dan Ige, Max Holloway, back in the day, BJ Penn, and so many more. It's only when we see you guys fight that everyone, especially in the 48 connected states, are like, oh, he's from Hawaii? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, this is no joke. This is different. So take me and take everyone into what it's like when you're not fighting, like being from Hawaii. Just kind of give us a sense of what it means to not only live there, but be there and then go on this journey that you're on.
Yeah, I've kind of been out of Hawaii for some time now. I went to college in Iowa and then made my way back to Hawaii, and then eventually traveled here back to Vegas. But being from Hawaii and growing up there is crazy. I kind of feel like I'm a mixed breed. Like, for some reason, I love to be at home. I'm a homebody. This quarantine thing is like made for me. I love it. All I do is stay at home. But at the same time, like, I feel like the outdoor calls me. Like, I love to be outside. As weird as that sounds, like contradicting each other, but I love to be outside. Just anything outdoor, I love to be. Even just on my patio, I could sit on my patio for hours. Kind of a mix of both.
I love that. Now, is it fair to say you're on board with, and like I said, I talked to Dan Ige earlier this week. We all know Max Holloway's public push for it. Are you on board for hashtag UFC Hawaii?
Oh, 100%. I don't know how you can be a fighter from Hawaii and not push for that. That's like a dream come true right there.
What, if you can make sense of it, what would that event be like? Like, again, you guys are part of the United States, but I think the culture and the mindset are so different in Hawaii, especially around this sport. What would you envision a UFC Hawaii fight card being like?
I imagine it being pretty brutal, because I feel like they would know that everyone from Hawaii who's going to be on the card is going to bring it up to a whole nother level. So whoever they match them up with, they're going to have to bring it up to another level. So it's just going to be brutal every way you look at it.
So a definite display of fireworks in Hawaii. I think once everything returns to normal, we got to keep this campaign and this push going. But speaking of getting things on schedule, now obviously the coronavirus and this entire worldwide pandemic has kind of halted things. What is the latest with you and where your schedule sits?
I'm scheduled, like I signed the contract literally maybe a week before everything happened. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm still fighting May 16th, I believe. Yeah, May 16th against Anthony Hernandez. And I'm just doing everything I can. Running every day. There's no gyms open. There's literally nothing open that I can really do, but I'm still kind of just meeting up with my coach, running when I can, and just doing everything I possibly can to make this work.
Now, you're obviously very young and fresh in your UFC career. This pandemic is something really that I think will change a lot of things in society moving forward, but it's got to be trying times. I mean, never did I think the NBA would be on halt. MLB wouldn't have started on time. I would absolutely imagine that during a pandemic, I would 100% guarantee anyone around me that Dana White would still be trying to make fights. But before I get to that part of it, I just want to ask someone who's scheduled for something, a little over a month away. How are you handling this? I know you just kind of talked about it. You're running every day. Not a lot of gyms are open. You're still meeting up with your coach. But from a training standpoint and a mental standpoint, how are you handling going through this pandemic but being like, I got to fight in May as far as I know?
Yeah, honestly, it's super stressful. It's like the most stressful thing I've ever dealt with. I catch myself every day kind of just like, it's when I'm not busy, I don't have anything to do, I'm kind of just sitting around. My thoughts kind of begin to wander, and I start thinking like, oh man, he's got a gym at home, he's working hard, he's doing everything he can. All I did was run 1 mile today. It's stressful, but I don't know. I'm just doing what I can. May 16th is gonna come regardless if I'm ready or not, and I'm gonna fight.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you want to fight May 16th if this pandemic is still going on?
Honestly, I would love to fight any chance I get, but it really depends how far along this thing's going. At the moment, I don't see any problem with fighting, but obviously this thing's getting worse by the day. I'm waiting for when it kind of teeters off, but if it's bad to the point, where we can't even do anything, they got like martial law or whatever, you see the memes about.
Yeah.
It might be kind of hard.
Would you, if you got a call and said, hey, the fight's still on, would you want extra precaution taken? Like, would you want to be tested for coronavirus? I know Francis Ngannou came out and said he was, and there's rumors that he could be on UFC 249 later or in April. Like, would you want to be tested and make sure everything is good? Would you be comfortable fighting in an empty arena? Like, what about those two things?
Yeah. As far as getting tested and stuff, I don't care. They can test me. They don't have to test me. I'm already going into fight. I know his blood work's good. As long as, to me, that's like a bigger concern. Blood work, something that can't go away. I'd rather make sure no one has that kind of stuff. And honestly, I'm going in there for like war, live or die. And it doesn't matter if he has corona, if I have corona. I'm going in there to fight.
Would you prefer it if it wasn't teetered off? Would you prefer? And listen, I've interviewed a lot of fighters this week, and really it's been consistent. Like, listen, we need to fight. We're not NBA players. We're not NFL players. We're not Major League Baseball players. Like, we need to fight because we need this money to keep coming in. And listen, I respect that 100%. But with that being said, if it's not teetered off, would you prefer to fight in an empty arena? That way you kind of just keep everything at minimum?
For me, honestly, as bad as it sounds, I honestly just have this gut feeling that I'm not gonna even get affected by it. Like, So that's kind of how I've been living life this whole time with it. I know other people can get affected, old, young, whatever, but I just have this gut feeling that it's not going to come for me, and I'm just rolling with it, I'm not worried about it one bit. I'm 100 times more worried about my fight than Corona.
Absolutely. Now, you are scheduled to take on Anthony Hernandez, another Dana White Contender Series signee. So you both have been there, done that type deal. And, again, you exploded onto the scene at UFC 245, and you got that finish you were looking for on Contender Series. What do you make of Anthony Hernandez as an opponent, and what is your mindset going into a fight against him?
Anthony Hernandez is a tough dude. He has a gas tank. He puts the pressure on you, and he comes to fight. Kind of similar to my style, honestly. We both get in there, and we both get after it. So, it's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a war, and I feel like this type of situation benefits him. I feel like he's a dog, and he's kind of got like that Tony Ferguson in him, I feel like, where he can take any situation and just make the best of it, Like, he's probably out running, doing everything he can and more. That's what I assume.
All right, Puna, I got to ask, since you just brought it up, it looks like the UFC is looking to make this happen. You just brought up one of them. Tony Ferguson is scheduled to face Khabib Nurmagomedov April 18th in who knows where. Obviously, who knows where. We'll all watch it no matter where it is. And yep. I was talking to someone who you probably know very well inside your gym, and I want to talk about your gym here in a minute, Jessica I earlier. And I feel like this is what fight fans get. Like, I don't want to take a shot at the fans, but after 4 cancellations of this fight, this one being the 5th one, and everyone going, I don't care what it takes, we need to see Tony and Khabib fight. Well, all right, you guys said that long enough. Now look what happened. Dana White's going to put this fight on during a pandemic. But if the fight does go on as scheduled, how do you see that main event between Khabib and Tony Ferguson taking place?
Man, first of all, I'm super excited to watch that fight. Those two dudes are like the pinnacle, They're on like another level right now. But I'm going to ride with Khabib 1,000%. There's just no one out there like him. From his mindset to his work ethic to his beliefs, he's a different animal all around.
Now let's go to your division, the middleweight division. We thought it was going to be a crazy fight when the champion Israel Adesanya faced Yoel Romero earlier this month at UFC 248. It was anything but that. Obviously, you're just getting started, not only in your UFC career, but in this UFC middleweight division. What did you make of the main event fight between them two? And what do you make of your division?
For that fight, honestly, I thought it was really entertaining. Maybe it's just because it's a different perspective for me, but I was watching that fight just on the edge of my seat. I was there. I was able to watch it live, luckily, and I was at the edge of my seats. Anytime Yoel exploded, I was kind of popping up, looking to see what happened, and I thought it was a great fight.
Now, let me ask you this before we get to your thoughts on the division. What makes that? Because what makes that exciting? And I'm not saying it wasn't, because I'm in agreement with you. Now, I've never been in your position. I've never fought on Dana White Contender Series. I've actually never had a fight. But I have been inside gyms. I have trained myself. But I also understand the game. And I understand when the casual fan is going, this fight sucks. Yeah, okay. Ask Chris Weidman going for a takedown how quick and explosive Yoel Romero is. Ask Robert Whittaker how bad it is to come in on Israel Adesanya. Like, there's so many layers to these fighters and these fights that we don't see. What about it from a fighter's standpoint made that main event so exciting?
I think because they were in my weight and there's a possibility that I could fight one of them somewhere along the line. I think that's what kind of, made it more exciting for me.
Now, we're talking about the middleweight division. As I said earlier, you're just getting into it. But what do you make of your division?
I think it's a tough division. I don't think there's any easy weight classes in the UFC, and I don't think there's any easy fighter in the middleweight division. So, any fight that I have from here on is going to be tough, and I want it. I want to raise my level to where these tough guys don't look so tough anymore. I want to just be the best.
Now, one more on your division, because I think it's hilarious. I think it's like an unwritten storyline that a guy like me wants to continue to keep bringing up. Darren Till is always avoiding the top of a conversation when it comes to Yoel Romero. What do you make of Yoel Romero? Now, obviously, the fight, as you said, was exciting and intriguing in your eyes. But when you see a guy like Darren Till, who looks better than he did at welterweight inside the middleweight division, who is a hard puncher, he can finish a lot of people. But you say Yoel Romero, he's like, I'm good. You just kind of said it. Listen, I found that main event exciting because I might be fighting one of them one day. What do you make of a guy like Yoel Romero at his older age in the middleweight division?
What do I make of a guy like Yoel Romero? Man, I'm kind of in the same boat with Darren Till. Like, I'm kind of just hoping by the time I'm up there, he's kind of out the gate, you know? but I know how he feels. I know 100% he would fight him if they were matched up, you know? Like, so there's no shame. I don't think there's any shame in saying, like, oh, I don't know. If, like, I'll be pretty scared to fight this dude, that dude. Like, there's no shame in it because at the end of the day, we would fight them.
Oh, 100%. I don't doubt that one bit. Now, with everything going on inside your division, inside the UFC, I know I'm probably reaching here a little bit, but it might be hard to maintain a level of positivity like, my fight's going to happen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And everything's going to be laid out for you. And you kind of talked about the training aspect. But when you're sitting back and you're not training and you're at home and you're just waiting for all this to pass, what's going on with your mindset of being like, listen, I just got here, but I need to keep this train moving?
Honestly, like, man, that is a tough question. Because I do catch myself slipping where I'm like, oh, man, like, I don't want this to be the reason why I kind of slip, you know? But at the same time, I'll have my thoughts, like, come back, like, nah, this ain't it. Like, this won't affect me. I want to be the guy that's dependable. I want to be the guy that's going to show up regardless of what kind of situation's going around the world, you know?
Absolutely. What is your message to everyone or anyone? Yeah, because you see people who are like, yeah, whatever, we don't care. Coronavirus is coronavirus, social distancing is social distancing. We're not going to listen to it. And then you have other people who are like, I'm not stepping outside of the house. And I think in your sport, especially with the fact that UFC is continuing to try to put events on, I think fighters have a bigger platform right now. So what would your message be almost to the general public? Like, do you encourage them to take this as serious as it's coming across as?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think this is a joke at all. I don't think that anyone should take it lightly, but at the same time, like, who am I to say when I'm outside every day amongst people, like, trying to train? I'm kind of a hypocrite, you know? I can't really say these things because I'm not really practicing it because I have a fight and I have to train. So it's kind of puts me in a weird spot. I feel like I have no power here.
Let's talk about your gym real quick. Let's talk about Xtreme Couture, your coach Eric Nixick, and just your time there. If you had to sum it all up, if you had to describe it, what is it like training at Xtreme Couture, and what do you think it's done for your career?
What's it like training at Xtreme Couture? Well, since day one, about 3 years ago, it's they've just welcomed me with open arms, and I think it fits me extremely well. If you know me, you know, like, I like to have fun. I don't take much things too seriously, but I feel like they're not like sticklers, they're not super strict. No one's like crazy hard on you. Everyone kind of just comes in. We know what we have to do. We get after it, and then we have fun. And I think that's like a perfect fit for me and everyone else there. Everyone else is kind of in the same boat. Everyone else is grinding to get to their goals, and everyone can have fun together. It's an amazing place to be at.
When you're not training, how does Puna Soriano have fun?
I'm either in the mountains behind my house with my dogs and my family, or trying to play some Call of Duty with Dan and some other guys from the gym. I'm terrible though. I'm like probably the worst MMA fighter that plays like video games.
So there'd be no Twitch streaming from you?
I mean, it could be like an ironic thing where I'm just so bad people want to see it, but I don't know.
Now, obviously you said you like to be a homebody, but you also do like to be outdoors during this pandemic and when people are outside of yourself because you're training still for a fight in May. Do you have quarantine suggestions for people? Like, how can people pass the time? Do you have shows or movies that you recommend?
I did just watch a pretty good movie. I think it's like a foreign movie on Netflix. I believe it's called maybe The Pillar. I'm not sure. It's they're in like this prison type thing, and they're on floors. Every floor, like this pillar comes down with food, and like the higher the floor you're on, the better food you get. And as it goes down, it kind of just like, I don't know, gets disgusting. It's a long story, but it's a interesting movie. I liked it. That's a good hour out of the 24.
An hour to pass the time. I love it. Puna Soriano, obviously, we'll see what happens moving forward with your fight. And for your sake, I obviously want to see it happen. I can't imagine training for something and then it gets pulled in, or taken away from you like this. What is your message to the fans, who will be able to watch you for really the second time? If they missed you on Contender Series, they saw you at UFC 245, but you're really starting to write the chapter of your UFC career in your book. What is your message to fans out there about you as a fighter?
Honestly, as a fighter, man, my message, I'm honestly still kind of figuring that out. As a fighter, I don't really know who I am. I just know I'm gonna go in there and try my absolute hardest to win and break the guy's will. So if that's what you're into, please tune in.
Any message to your division? I know you said you could see yourself fighting the guys at the top. In your, at some point in your career, there's a lot of big names for you.
Definitely.
Any message to them?
No message. Just, I hope everyone's staying healthy. I hope everyone's training hard. I really got no message. I just want to fight.
I hear you. Spoken like a true Hawaiian. What is the schedule like for you? Obviously, this kind of throws a wrench in things, but if your fight does go on as scheduled in May, how you fought in December, you'd be fighting in May. How do you want to finish out 2020?
So, say we do end up fighting, I want to take like a month of just legit not leaving the house, ordering food off Grubhub, and just being a bum for a little, because I feel like this training camp was extra stressful and extra hard on all levels. So I'm going to kind of go in the opposite direction and kind of be an extra bum for about a month. And then I'm going to jump back into it and hit it hard.
Well, Puna Soriano, you put on a masterful performance at Dana White's Contender Series, and an even more masterful performance at UFC 245. So I know I personally am excited to see you get back in there. I hope you stay safe and stay healthy throughout this training camp. As I said earlier, I hope your fight continues on as scheduled. We'll see what happens with that. But this has been a great conversation. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and hope we can talk again soon.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great. I hope you're staying safe too.
That is Puna Soriano. Puna, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, anytime, man.
That was Puna Soriano. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Obviously, that's a big deal, not having clarity on whether or not his fight is happening, and still having to train despite a pandemic. It's especially as a younger, newer fighter in the UFC, it's one that it's probably not easy to wrap your head around if you're not in there. So really great stuff from the young middleweight. He'll take on Anthony Hernandez at UFC San Diego in May, if it does proceed as scheduled. Really looking forward to it. He's 7-0 in his career. That fight is scheduled for May 16th. So, thank you to Puna Soriano for joining me. Again, it's Hawaii invasion over here. We're doing it. We're doing it up. I am Mike Pendleton. You can follow me on Twitter at MP2310. I know I continue to say it, but I will not stop. Please practice good hygiene, social distancing, and together, let's do this. Let's get over this pandemic, and let's care about those around us, not just ourselves. This is Inside the Cage on bjpenn.com. You can read these interviews on bjpenn.com. Follow bjpenn.com on Twitter at bjpenn.dot.com. Follow me on Twitter at mp2310. You can follow me on Instagram at mikep2310. All that and more coming your way on Inside the Cage, and much, much more. Again, big thank you to Puna Soriano for following me, for joining me, for following me. What am I doing? Hit the follow button, though, if you're going on my Twitter or my Instagram, and also follow Puna on Instagram, Punahele _Soriano. That is PUNAHELE _Soriano. Really great stuff from the young middleweight. Well, plenty more coming your way on Inside the Cage. Keep it tuned to bjpenn.com for all the latest interviews and news around the MMA world. And again, follow me on Twitter at mp2310 and on Instagram at mikep2310. Until next time, we got plenty more coming your way right here on Inside the Cage. But as always, we'll see you soon, everybody.